Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is D-Free, and for today's video, we're going to be talking all about Ultra Omega Shenron. So we're going to go over all the details that they did put out in the video earlier. Now, I did cover all the information that they dropped, a ton of different updates like Zenkai Awakening characters coming free, all that stuff. Please check out the video that I covered all that in the description. But we're going to go deep dive into Omega Shenron, go ahead and talk about the nuggets of information they gave us in that video about the kit for Omega Shenron, and more or less what I'm thinking is going to wind up happening for him, the way he could potentially impact some of the teams he has, because he has some very good tags. Like we have Regen, GT, Fusion Warrior, Powerful Opponent, Shadow Dragons. He's got some good ones there. Obviously Shadow Dragons a little bit not there yet, but you get the point. So we're going to talk about the way he can impact those tags, some of my color expectations, kit, things like that. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And that being said, we're trying to hit a like goal of 1,000 and a sub goal for the end of the year of 285,000. So very hefty sub goal there. But if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, stick around for more, and let me know in the comments what you guys think is going to wind up happening for Omega Shenron. So to begin, I'm going to show you guys the animations of Omega, just because his animations are really cool. I planned to go live for this, but I couldn't get it to work in time. I woke up a little late, but I'll tell you, my initial reaction was, holy, not Omega, is that a Ultra Demon King Piccolo? I was about to jump out my seat. So I like Omega, but I like Demon King Piccolo and the original Dragon Ball so much more. So I was like, oh, that's epic. No, so this is nonetheless the preview for him, and he's, again, Omega's cool, but a King Piccolo would have freaking sent me, dude. Like right here when he reaches out, watch this part right here. I freaking thought that was him right there. And right here too, and then you see the Dragon Ball on the forehead, and it's like, oh, that's not him. But nonetheless, again, Omega's cool. No need for copium. All right.
You did well for a piece of trash.
All right, so we're not gonna look at that art. That art is godly, dude. Oh my god, I can't wait to see it animated with that Buchigiri style too, just like the Goku and Vegeta got that going on. Anyways, I have the notes from Toshi and what he says here, and we'll kind of rattle those off quick hitter really quick. He says he's a defense type that has high defense. Obviously damage cut's gonna be built into his kit. He has buffs when he gets hit. We'll talk about that, and I can equate some of what he says here and what I read on the screen to pre-existing characters, because it's pretty much going to be copy and pasted from other characters. Not that Omega in and of himself, it's just that these bits and pieces of these kits for the most part come from other characters, right? Sometimes they introduce new things though. Anyways, he regens health when he enters the battlefield, again, like a character like freaking Yellow Cell has that. You know, it's very common, but nonetheless a good mechanic to have. Has high damage cut, gets buffs when he's hit, I mentioned that. Gains more buffs and health if his HP drops below a certain threshold. So a character like Green Zenkai Broly has that, LF Frieza has that, so the newer LF Frieza specifically. So also as an Ultra, he does have an Ultra ability obviously, but that one is going to impact his allies, so it's the first of its kind. Toshi points that out. It's very interesting to see the way that that's going to be going. And also the thing about Omega is that he is going to be laying the groundwork for Summonable Ultras, and again, they hit you with that once again. I've been telling people this for a long time. These things are coming, dude.
But of course, I've said this previously, but we plan to have more Ultra characters available in summons in the future, so this might be the last event obtainable Ultra character for a while.
They are going to drop Summonable Ultras sooner than later. You can, I point this stuff out in the other video, you can see the groundwork for it. They've made a lot of changes to the game, including like making Zenkais free, that are kind of paving the way to this. Again, check out that other video, because I literally deep dive into this and talk about the ideas that they're kind of throwing out there to kind of make a transition to where Ultras become what we're summoning for most of the time. Now, that doesn't mean LFs will go away, and I don't think they'll have a worse rate than LFs for the record, but still, again, they're coming, right? So last thing I want to kind of say is the Ultra ability is kind of what really has defined these characters, because it makes and breaks their usability on different teams. So let's just see, like, for example, this Vegeta, his Ultra ability, it should be listed here somewhere. I'm not seeing it. It's typically down here. Let me go ahead and do a quick search. Ultra ability, here it is. Plus 10% damage inflicted per Frieza Saga battle. Remember, when this battle starts, cannot be canceled. So automatically you're losing the buffs if you're not running them on pretty much a full Frieza Saga team. Additional 10% damage inflicted per Frieza Saga support member up to 30% can't be canceled. This means characters that you don't take into battle. So basically, he's getting 60% extra damage if you use him on a full, completely six character Frieza Saga team. So that's huge. There's a lot to lose. Albeit he does work well with Saiyans. He's pretty good outside of that. He even has a Z ability for them. You know, you could do that if you want to. But the more Frieza Saga characters you have specifically, the better. This dude is actually even more restricted when it comes to Ultra Goku. His Ultra ability was as follows. I'm just scrolling right past it. Plus 15% damage inflicted per Saiyan battle member when the battle starts, and then plus 15% of damage inflicted per Saiyan support member up to 45. I actually thought he was worse. He's not as bad as Vegeta. Anyway, so same thing, just you need a full Saiyan team. You have to run full Saiyan, limits his usability on hybrids, things like that. So Omega's is different because his Ultra ability is going to be impacting his allies, but I do expect for there to still be some sort of team restriction, just like those characters, built into his Ultra ability. Like something like, oh, if you have 6 GT characters, for example, in your team, all allies get X buff, right? More or less something along those lines. So that's more or less how I think this is going to go. And the thing is, the Ultra ability, I pointed that out because it's going to determine what his main function is. Now, like I explained with the Vegeta and Goku, you can use them outside of that Ultra ability. It's just they get markedly worse. That's just it is what it is. You're missing buffs. They're not at their best. So determining which one GT, between GT, Regen, Fusion Warrior, or Powerful Opponent exclusively, Shadow Dragons is here, but no. It's going to be built around is kind of interesting. What I will say is they are dropping the SS4 Gogeta unique equip to pair with this, so that's part of it too. I do think his focus will be GT, and we'll see what happens. But there is a chance that if they build him in a way where some of the Z abilities are going where, oh, if this character is Powerful Opponent and Sagerson movies, they get this type of buff. Or if they're Hybrid and Sun Family exclusively, give them an extra buff. He may have some sort of Ultra ability built similarly to that, where if he has a Fusion Warrior GT character on his team, for example, they both get X buff or things like that. That could be an option. I really just don't know, but I'm really intrigued by the Ultra ability because that's going to be the big thing to look for when it comes to these Ultra characters, right? So let's assume he was built around Regen, and then we'll make our way through the different tags. For the record, since they're doing the Gogeta thing and they mentioned Gogeta, obviously he's meant to pair with Gogeta. I'd love to see, you know, Universal Spirit Bomb Goku, but Gogeta's the main headliner. I do think at the end of the day, he's going to be built to be ran on GT if any team restrictions are present, right? But let's start with Regen, who actually just got Perfect Cell. They're also getting the Zenkai for Super Janemba today. I should have mentioned this earlier. Do I think Omega's coming out today? No. It's weird. I don't know when he's coming out. He could be in the files today. He could even come out today. I don't think it's happening because Super Janemba's coming today. Actually, you know what? I need to double check when some of the raids, all that stuff, like those seasons for like co-op, and that's probably when he pops up. So it could be today, to be honest. I know PvP ends today. If not, then obviously he's maybe next week. So at the bare minimum, Super Janemba Zenkai is coming out today. So there's that. So looking at the grouping here, top colors we would need is, I mean, like some of these characters just are pending Zenkais. And also, like, if I were to say blue is a good color for him, it would be, right? Why? Because the best option would be an LF. Like, not everybody has a 0.25 pull rate character. So blue is a good color for him as a secondary character, especially an event obtainable free character. Like, things like that. You know, also he's a defense type. Defense types very rarely have a blast focus. A lot of times they're built around strike, or they have a mixed attacker profile where they can go either way. They'll hold double strike. They'll have a strike and a blast arts card, for example. They can kind of play whichever way. Don't have any specifics. So if I were to say, for example, he was a character that would look good as a red character, that would fit very well here. What I will tell you is that, for example, purple I think is completely off the table because 2 new purple characters are entering the fray. I don't think he'll be purple whatsoever at all across any team. I just don't think it's going to happen. And then on top of that, though, another color I don't think he'll be in any capacity is green because Gogeta's green. I just don't think he'll be purple or green. I think any of the other 3 are there, and they have good reason for them. So overall, though, this team, it's kind of like, what do they actually need? And more or less, your best version of this team is probably something centered around your LF fighters here, without deep diving too heavily into this. There's a bunch of Zenkais, other very good non-LF, non-Zenkai characters like Purple Demon King Piccolo, and et cetera, et cetera. But I would be comfortable with saying if you don't have Kid Buu, blue would be good. Other than that, though, probably like a yellow. You know, yellow looks fine. Like I was saying, I just don't think it'll be the other 3 characters. Really, any of the other, or the other 2 colors, any of the other 3 would work fine. GT, the problem with yellow is that GT is super saturated with yellow all of a sudden. They used to have like only Sin and Hyperildo, and they got all 3 of these characters right around the anniversary and a little bit before, a little bit after. So SS4 Goku kind of doesn't really count with this. He is an LF. The funny thing is, if they were to say make him green, the thing about that is, like, I can't see it because Gogeta. Like, that just would be weird to me. And purple I thought would make sense because he's versus Gogeta in the video and stuff like that. But I don't see it because Cell and Janemba. But I mean, if they were to build him for this team, purple would be fine, ironically, because GT is a team that got a crap ton of characters but still has a lot of open spots, whether it's looking at a secondary option that's not an LF or not a Zenkai. For example, a purple character for them, they just don't have it. They have these EXs, but they only have a Zenkai. So, like, really, a purple would not be terrible if he's built around GT. I just can't see it because Cell, like I said, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was purple. So other than that, though, yellow is just not the main color for him. But, like, the thing about yellow is it's interesting because of the fact that you could color counter for the green Gogeta, who will be getting that new unique, who they're expecting to be in a lot of matches, which is also the thing about red. Red can be covered by the green Gogeta for color counter as well. Fusion Warrior, they're kind of in the same spot a little bit as GT, not as bad, though. They could use some of those exact same colors. Powerful Opponent, though, is interesting. If I had to choose, it would be between GT and Powerful Opponent, which team he's built for, because they're really building everything for Powerful Opponent. All the characters that are coming out are Powerful Opponent based. I wouldn't be surprised if we got our first Omega Shenron that actually has the Z ability for Powerful Opponent, and he's built around this team. Now, Powerful Opponent's main Z ability buffers are all listed on the screen, but there's a crap ton of other main antagonists from the series that are available to have the tag and be used on the team. But if you look at here, the main notice is that there's pretty much good options for pretty much every color on the team. Multiple LF options for purple. Yellow, I guess, could use a non-LF option because the other characters are a little old or not that great, whatever the case is. Green, they just got a new Kid Buu. I talked about the green scenario recently, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to replace this Kid Buu, because realistically, Goku Black's pretty good. He has an old, outdated version of the Z ability that doesn't do the double buffs. It's from more when they used to be pretty cautious, pre-Jiren. Metal Cooler's pretty good Z ability as well. But they could kind of slide this character into whatever. But once again, that blue is looking interesting for the non-LF variant, right? Similar stuff to the other teams overall. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's take a look back to some of my notes and some of the key talking points about Omega Shenron. And like I said, some of the things I would like to see built around his kit. Like I said, I think it's between GT and Powerful Opponent, but I'll just kind of focus a little bit more on GT for this video because he's obviously from GT, so he'd be if not the best character on their team, he'd probably be one of the top like 2 or 3. Obviously, they do have Zenkais there, so that's something to consider. So he is a defense type character. Off the top, I don't love the defense typing because it doesn't mesh well with Gogeta at all. Like, Toshi directly says he's gonna work well with Gogeta. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. He'll work fantastic. But like, they always drop one-liners like this that are ambitious at best. That's what I'll say. New level of power Ice Shenron, for example. Unmatchable defense or whatever with SSBE Vegeta. They always drop little one-liners like that. That it's not it. So I wouldn't love the double defense typing, but we'll see what happens ultimately. It just really just depends, right, how he functions. But if he's built around GT, what I can tell you is that the Ultra ability, if it offers buffs to these allies, more damage inflicted, that will be very, very, very helpful in a party with Gogeta. If you were to go ahead and do the double defense setup, you could have a very tanky core. Gogeta's not the best character, but I can give him credit for being, at least one time anyway, very, very, very tanky as well. Now his unique ability is, or his unique equip, excuse me, is going to be a bit of a wild card because they could go the route where they did with like green Beerus and like green LFSS3 Goku. Yeah, other green LFs have had this problem and just go mega stat buffs, right? That's possible, but it's also possible they lean heavily into some of the unique abilities and buff it. For example, they've been trying to do more with these anti-revival abilities. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they find a way to buff this or whatever with a unique equip. Like his equip is going to be very interesting. I don't think it's going to be cookie cutter though. I think it's going to be something unique, pun intended, and different from what you would expect. So we'll see what happens with that overall, but really it's a huge outlier to determine how good this team will be. But the one thing is for sure, you can never have enough damage inflicted buffs. So I can say Omega Shenron's Ultra ability buffing allies in some capacity would be good, and or unique abilities to where depending on his color you could have purple, red, green with him and SS4 Goku, for example, offering a ton of buffs, and all of a sudden some of the offensive deficiency isn't there as much, and the defensive backbone that SS4 Gogeta has with the cover changes and stuff like that, the utility he has in his kit, and this undeniable utility, will be more profound and more, you know, beneficial to the team overall. So outside of just general damage buffs, I mean, this team has some, if you were to pair him exclusively with Gogeta, Gogeta has the utility, he has the control mechanics in the Dragon Ball's anti-rising rush, not rising rush, but anti-revive type of stuff. So that's good, yes. And again, the equip is going to be an outlier. We need to know how that functions. But what I can say is on the topic of Gogeta, if we were to pair him exclusively there, one of the main things that I was kind of discovering in a team with Gogeta was that outside of just the damage buffs, it did seem like the team was a little bit slow at times, but since he did have blast armor, you were able to kind of mitigate that. I would love to see a very early game offensive force for Omega. He doesn't have to have one of those abilities where for the first 80 counts of the battle only he gets this damage, and after that he kind of fizzles out. He doesn't have to have that, and obviously they're going to try to find some way to keep him true to his appearance in the series, and if I'm being frank, I haven't seen Omega's fight in like maybe 10 years, so I'm not going to be able to really drop too many references in relation to that. But what I can say is early game force would be very, very helpful in my opinion overall. And then again, just damage and stuff like that, outside of the fact that we already know he has some utility with the defense and stuff. It doesn't sound like he has endurance, otherwise they would have outright said it probably, but he does have the mechanic where he is going to be healing. Sustainability seems really good, so you could at the very least have a very interesting team where you have all of the defensive backbone between him and Gogeta exclusively, and he might have a special cover. I mean, both of the previous ones did, the Ultras, and pretty much, I'm gonna be honest, like at least 50% of the new characters always have Ultra special cover changes nowadays. It's just they give it to everybody, so he probably has that too. So that's pretty much it, everyone. And Powerful Opponent, I'll just kind of wrap and conclude with this. Powerful Opponent is a team that they could use. I mean, they could use more supporting characters. That's why this Kid Buu was actually really good for them, especially with a color that wasn't really like heavily contested. Like, okay, Goku Black is still really good, but he's old, right? He's gonna age. He's gonna age out of the grouping. More modern characters would be nice to have, is the point. So that's what I will say. But for Powerful Opponent, they don't need much. They could use some more of that, but a defense type could actually be very good for this grouping because they are heavy glass cannons among those LFs, especially at reasonable star levels like I have them, between 3 to 7 stars. Most of these LFs is where I have them. To be honest, on average, I probably have these LFs because they're all pretty much newer ones, like 4 or 5 stars, because I don't really pull that much. What I can tell you is that they're not the tankiest characters. So a defense type might help them a good bit. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Again, remember to subscribe for more content and to help us hit our sub goal for the end of the year. Have an awesome day, everyone, and I'll see all of you in the next video.